It's noon in Kiev, and you're watching Our Time. I'll tell you about the main news at this hour. I'm Katerina Vishnevska. Hello. So, over 2,000 attack drones, 1,200 guided aerial bombs, and 116 missiles of various types have been launched by the Russian Federation at Ukrainian cities and villages over the past week. This was reported by the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. According to him, almost every day the Russians strike at the energy sector, logistics infrastructure, and residential buildings. The president is convinced that these attacks cannot be ignored.
When the world does not respond, the attacks become more frequent and each time more brutal. This can be stopped with real support for Ukraine, for our defense. We need missiles for air defense systems, weapons for our soldiers who hold back this aggression every day. And for diplomacy to work, there must be constant pressure on Russia. The cost of this war for them must be so high that war becomes unacceptable for the Russian Federation. I think everyone who is working with us to protect lives and bring about a just peace. Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, on Telegram.
Last night, Russia launched 101 attack drones at Ukraine. The launches were carried out from the directions of Kursk, Oryol, Bryansk, Primorsko-Akhtarsk, and Shatalovo. This was reported by the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. According to preliminary data, the air defense was either hit or suppressed by electronic warfare systems. 69 Russian drones of the Shahed type, as well as Gerbera and Almaz and other types of drones in the north, south, and east of the country. The production of the weapons that Russia uses to shell Ukraine is impossible without foreign components, which the Russians continue to obtain by circumventing sanctions. This was stated by the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. According to him, it is precisely against such companies, as well as manufacturers of missiles and drones, that Ukraine is introducing new sanctions. The president has signed the corresponding decision. With one more decree, restrictions are being imposed on the Russian financial sector.
This list includes companies through which payments are made for the supply of components used in the production of Russian missiles and drones. Sanctions have also been imposed against entities supporting the Russian crypto market and mining. Some of these measures will be included in the 20th package of European Union sanctions, which is already in its final stage. We continue to coordinate with our partners and increase pressure on the aggressor. Thank you to everyone who stands with Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, on Telegram.
The number of wounded in Kramatorsk has risen to 3. One person was killed. Early in the morning, Russia attacked a residential district with high explosive aerial bombs. Several apartment buildings were damaged there, and emergency services are on the scene. Rescuers extinguished fires covering an area of 250 square meters and helped residents escape by opening entrance doors deformed by the blast. Information about the aftermath of the shelling is being clarified. In total, as a result of Russian strikes on Donetsk region, 3 people were killed and 5 more were wounded. 5 settlements came under fire. In Kondrativka, 2 people were killed by a KAB-250 bomb strike. Alexieva Drushkovka was also affected. There, 1 person was wounded and a house was damaged. 8 people were injured as a result of Russian strikes on Kherson using MLRS. Private residential houses, a non-residential and warehouse building, a garage, as well as an apartment building caught fire. State emergency service workers rescued 2 women. One was freed from the rubble of a private house and the other from a damaged apartment. Despite the difficult security situation, firefighters extinguished all the fires. Overall, over the past day, as Russians heavily shelled Kherson, they damaged 14 apartment buildings and more than 50 private houses, as well as an educational and a medical institution and a gas pipeline. Chuhuiv in the Kharkiv region was also hit by Russian strikes. Russian drones damaged 2 apartment buildings, and 1 person was injured. This was reported by Mayor Halina Minayeva. According to her, one of the city's remote neighborhoods was shelled. Utility services have already started work. Meanwhile, at the Kapustin Yar training ground, from where the Russians launched the Oryshnik at Ukraine, facilities servicing ballistic missiles have been damaged. This was reported by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Specifically, a technical facility, an assembly building, and a logistics warehouse were affected. The extent of the damage, enemy losses are being clarified. Also, last night, an enemy logistics warehouse was hit. It was located in the area of temporarily occupied Rozovka in the Zaporizhia region, and near Krasnogorsky, a strike was carried out on a concentration of enemy personnel. In the Donetsk region, a Russian drone command post was destroyed. And over the past 2 weeks, the Czech organization Postbellum has already delivered part of the 354 generators to Ukraine. One of them, with a capacity of 500 kilowatts, is being installed in a Kyiv hospital. This was reported by the head of Med Ukraine, Andrea Sabiha. The day before, he met with representatives of this company and thanked them for their support. According to him, the Ukrainian embassy in Prague and the organization have launched an additional fundraising campaign to help Ukraine stay warm. Russia is terrorizing Ukrainians to freeze them to death. This was stated by Latvia's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Baiba Braze. She strongly condemned the strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. According to the diplomat, these actions by the Kremlin are deliberate terror aimed at provoking a humanitarian catastrophe during the winter period. Latvia is sending new aid to Ukraine and supports the imposition of sanctions against Russia.
Russia has attacked Ukraine's energy sector, high-voltage power lines, and key substations, which has affected nuclear energy production. This is terror against the people of Ukraine. To freeze them to death, Baiba Braze, Latvia's Minister of Foreign Affairs, on social network X.
Benjamin Netanyahu will meet with Donald Trump amid U.S. negotiations with Iran. The Prime Minister of Israel will arrive in Washington on Wednesday, February 11th. Previously, the meeting with Trump was scheduled for February 18th. According to Axios, this is part of the U.S.-Iran contact negotiation system. This concerns a possible nuclear agreement. Israel believes its interests may not be taken into account. The U.S. and Iran previously held talks in Amman. Donald Trump called them very successful. Israel insists on discussing Iran's missile program. Tehran refuses to include this issue. The postponement of the visit was initiated by the Israeli Prime Minister himself.